In this lesson, we are going to read through the preparing red meat for mincing and serving lightly cooked or raw topic in the template food control plan. This is one of the teal-colored cards in the specialist section of the plan and is page number 137. What do you need to know? This process only covers red meat, beef, lamb and venison. This process does not cover pork, chicken, duck or livers. This process only needs to be followed if you choose to serve red meat lightly cooked or raw. Bugs are found on the surface of whole cuts of meat. Mincing meat spreads the bugs from the surface all the way through the meat. It only takes a few harmful bugs to make people sick. The only way to make meat safe to be served lightly cooked or raw is to kill the bugs on the surface of the meat before it is minced. There are 3 ways to reduce the number of bugs on the outside of meat. Sear it, blanch it or sanitize it. Bugs can be hidden under flaps, in cavities, and between the seams of whole cuts of meat. Make the outside of the meat smooth by removing any parts which could stop the searing, blanching or sanitizing solution from killing bugs. All additional ingredients used with the sanitized red meat such as seasonings, binders and so on, must be safe and suitable for use. You and your staff do not need to follow the rules about cooking minced red meat on the cooking poultry, minced meat and chicken liver card, if you follow this procedure. What do you need to do? You must choose one of the following methods: searing, or blanching, or using sanitizing solution. You and your staff must only use cuts of meat with a smooth surface, for example, prime cuts like sirloin, rump, thick flank, silver side, top side. You and your staff must either trim any seams, obvious flaps and or cavities before searing, blanching or sanitizing so the entire surface of the meat is evenly treated, or cut or trim the meat into smaller portions. That is, no flaps or cavities, before searing, blanching or sanitizing so the entire surface of the meat is evenly treated. Searing. When searing, all surfaces of the meat, including any fat layer, must come into contact with the oiled hot plate, grill or pan. Blanching. When blanching, you can choose to blanch the meat either unwrapped or in a vacuum-sealed bag. If you use a vacuum-sealed bag, all surfaces of the meat must come into direct contact with the bag. The meat must be fully covered by water or stock that is at a rolling boil, for at least 30 seconds if it is not in a bag, or 60 seconds if it is in a vacuum-sealed bag. For both searing and blanching, you and your staff must rapidly chill the seared or blanched meat by either placing the meat in an ice slurry, or putting the meat in the fridge, or putting the meat in the freezer. Using sanitizing solution. When sanitizing, you must only use one of the following chemicals: lactic acid, peroxyacetic acid, POAA. Remember to complete your plan by marking the option you will use. You and your staff must not use a lower or higher concentration of sanitizing solution. The whole piece of meat must always be fully covered by the sanitizing solution. All surfaces of the meat must come in direct contact with the sanitizing solution. You and your staff must use a new sanitizing solution for each piece of meat you sanitize. Using lactic acid. You and your staff must use a solution that is between 2 to 5%. You and your staff must dip the whole piece of meat in the solution for 9 seconds. The solution must be used at 55 degrees Celsius. Using POAA. You and your staff must use a concentration of between 150 to 220 parts per million. The concentration of hydrogen peroxide must be 75 parts per million or less. Note: if using pre-prepared concentrate, you do not need to do this. You and your staff must dip the whole piece of meat in the solution for 10 to 15 seconds, no more than 30 seconds, at room temperature. For all methods. All meat that has been seared, blanched, or sanitized must be used within a maximum of 48 hours. Formed patties must be used within 24 hours or frozen immediately for later use. Thawed patties must be used within 24 hours. All seared, blanched, or sanitized meat must be stored at 5 degrees Celsius or less when not being used or handled. What do you need to show? Show or describe to your verifier. How the method you and your staff have chosen is followed exactly, every time. How you and your staff kill the bugs on the outside of whole cuts of meat. How you and your staff handle the meat after it has been either seared, blanched, or sanitized. How you and your staff ensure blanched, seared or sanitized meat is used within 48 hours. How you and your staff mince red meat safely and use the resulting patties within 24 hours. How you and your staff mince red meat safely. Sanitizing solution method. Show or describe to your verifier. How you and your staff prepare and apply the sanitizing solution. How you and your staff know you have used the right chemical and concentration and temperature and amount of time to kill bugs.